You're watching Midnight Movie Talk live from the City of Angels here on this Monday night. We had the Flash world premiere here in LA. Also, fan screenings across the country. We've had some debate about whether to do a spoiler show tonight or not. And I'm going to try to do this as delicately as possible. We're going to talk about the film again. For those of you who missed the first reaction stream, it's there. It's the pinned video on the Midnight Movie channel, Midnight Movie Talk channel. But if you want to see that, go there after this. Right now, we're going to talk about my reactions to the film, the second watch tonight, and also I finally got to see the full film because, as we discussed when I saw that film now, 3 weeks ago, there was just an abrupt end to the film. So now the final scene is there along with one end credit scene. We're going to talk about both of those in a moment without spoilers. I'm going to give you my reaction to the film. Again, it's the same as it was the first time. I am 100% certain, because I've seen it now twice with audiences. The first time with industry crowd, second time with fans tonight. Huge. Everyone's just geared up and their Flash stuff, DC, Batman, you name it, they're in that. This is packed. The IMAX was completely sold out, every single seat at Burbank down the street. And I know it was around the country as well. And both times that I've seen this with an audience, they love the film, especially when Michael Keaton shows up. And that is why this film will outperform this weekend. Reports saying it's going to be like 70 million. Yeah, that's wrong. It's going to be much higher, okay? Remember, the tracking from Spider-Verse 2 was 70, ended up at 120. The Flash should be able to push at least 100. We'll talk about that more on Thursday, but I do want to note one thing here tonight. All of these fan screenings across the country, they go into that Thursday night preview cache. That is very smart by Warner Brothers. We saw Disney's done that. Studios, Paramount's done that. You put these things early and you charge $25 a head. This was not A-list, not Regal Unlimited. You had to pay out of pocket to see it. That all goes towards the Thursday number. But again, this film works for a general audience. And I think that when you go back and you watch, the reason that this film is so strong is, without question, no matter how you feel about him, it is Ezra Miller and his dual performance. He is the reason that this film is so strong, especially at the end when you need the emotion to be delivered to you. And I'm telling you, I teared up again tonight watching the film. That is 2 times that I have been emoted to the point where I was literally tearing up, because that is the strength of Ezra in the scene with his mother. Spoiler, stop. I'm going to stop there. But when you see it, if you haven't, you're going to, that's it. So let's table, okay? Ezra Miller is a piece of crap. Ezra's done all these things. We're not discussing that here tonight. We're talking about, as we always do on MMT, extracting an element from somebody who is flawed and then praising that element. We can do that. Be mature about it. It's you're able to go there. Go there with me. And Ezra rocks, and so does Keaton. And I'll tell you, let's talk about that final scene, and we can get into a little bit of the movie. But when you get to that final scene, I told you the movie just stopped. And without spoilers, I'm going to say this. The final scene, we had Michael Keaton, right? So, who are some other Batmen? Hint, hint. So in that final scene, we might get another Batman. Okay, and then when you roll to the end credits, again, we're not doing spoilers, but I'm going to tell you, end credits scene, most important thing about it is that it does not progress the DCU forward. Because remember, James Gunn, Peter Safran, they both have said this thing is not going forward as part of the DCU. Now, I am telling you here, and I told you 3 weeks ago when we did the stream, that because of how this film's it's going to outperform big, huge, okay? And when it outperforms, that's going to cause The folks at Warner, right down the street, Gunn, Zaslav, all of them, to sit in a room and say, wait a second, we might need to rethink this. And Muschietti's already been on record saying that if he does another film, he will not work without Ezra Miller. Because when you see the film, you're like, there's no one else that can play the Flash. He has to be the Flash. So the good news for Warner Brothers is that he has been issue free for how many months now? Like 3, 4, 5 months? A long time. It's like the longest time ever between Ezra sightings doing something stupid or worse. Okay. Not getting into that tonight. But Warner Brothers is going to be in a very difficult situation because they've already stated we're not taking him going forward, and yet this film will do the numbers that will make them rethink that entire situation. I promise you that. I also want to mention this before I show you some stuff from Ezra Miller. He was at the screening here tonight in Los Angeles, and did you see his hair? We're going to talk about the hair in a minute, but we need to discuss Andy Muschietti as a director. And for those of you who've been with him, the whole way, you go back to Mama, then of course It in It Chapter 2. What he brings to the table is a tremendous visual eye talent. He knows how to make a film look good, and the edits are super strong. Cinematography is very good. He has that European flair about him. He's not a hack director. Now, when you watch a film like The Flash, and 3 nights ago you watched something like Transformers: Rise of the Beast, now that is a by the numbers direction job of an action film. Okay, that film has nothing about it that is special. 0 things about it. Okay, it's another Transformers movie. I'd argue it's worse than any Michael Bay movie last night. But okay, trust me, it's bad. But when you look at The Flash, you're looking at a director who is talent plus. And because of that, the movie is elevated. Then you throw Ezra Miller's performance in there. You got Michael Keaton. And then you have the callbacks in the metaverse that is the multiverse, that you have all of these characters throughout the years. And when that happens, the audience just loses their shit. It's the second time I've seen it happen. So come in with your comments. I didn't do the spoiler tonight. I mean, I walked up to the edge of the spoiler, but I think that's fair. We stopped at the point where we could go over, and I think on Thursday we will just tip it over, because by then you've had plenty of time to see it. You've had 2 nights to see it, Monday and then Thursday, so we will just blow that out of the water on Thursday. Let's talk about Ezra coming out of hiding. Did you guys see that today? So let me search here. He had that hairdo. We know what he's been doing. He's been growing his hair. That's the first thing that you see when you look at Ezra Miller at the premiere tonight down in Hollywood. I was coming through there earlier tonight, and traffic was a freaking nightmare. They shut down the entire street. It's absolutely terrible. Here it is. Let's go. Oh, that's really loud. Let me pop that down. There's Ezra Miller. He's got the long, like, kabuki haircut. I mean, that is, if those aren't extensions, he's been growing that like the entire time. So there he is, back in front of the cameras tonight. You knew he'd come to the premiere. Now, he's not going to do questions. He walked in, he did the thing, and that's it. No one from Variety, THR, Deadline, Rap, none of them talking to him. He's just moving on. But there he is. Let's get to some comments. It's going to be a tight stream tonight. We're not going to go super long. I gave you what you need to know about The Flash. It's going to outperform. We'll talk about it more on Thursday, and told you what those final 2 scenes are. But most importantly, the end credits scene is not going to propel the DCU forward. And I think a lot of people, one of the guys in the audience, as it was over with the end credits, he goes, "That's it?" And like, well, what'd you think? What'd you think was going to happen? Because we knew that Gunn said that this is not going to be part of his universe going forward. That's going to change when this film outperforms worldwide. It's going to do a really good number. You just wait. We'll talk about it more on Thursday, and that's going to change the entire conversation. But tonight, it doesn't push it forward, because we knew that was going to be the case. Okay. This is me. I put this in the comments. What am I doing on there? Has anyone watched the film? Hopefully you did tonight. There were a ton. Listen, there were a huge, Mark saw it. It was packed tonight. 400 screens across the U.S., right? So a lot of people sold out. So there's a lot of people who saw this film, and I guarantee you that they at least enjoyed it. it's not, you're not going to come out of the film, Mark saying he thought it was meh. You're not going to come out of this film and say it's bad. There's no way that you're going to do that. Okay. So that is, the situation. It's a solid film. I want to do one more thing before we roll on this tonight. A couple more comments, but I do want to get to Tenoch Huerta and his discussion today on Instagram. He refuted everything. We talked about it last couple nights, so I figured we have to do it tonight. We must at least address it. So I'm going to share the Yahoo article with you guys and talk about this briefly. We'll do some more flash comments, then we're going to roll out of here on this Monday night. It's going to be a short stream. So there's Tenoch Huerta, and today he got on his Instagram, and here's what he had to say. About a year ago, I dated Elena, the woman who was accusing him of this, for several months. It was entirely consensual at all times, as countless others can attest. And throughout, it was a loving, warm, and mutually supportive relationship. After it ended, however, Elena began to misrepresent our interactions, both privately and in front of mutual friends. Although I'm by no means perfect, I know that these allegations are simply untrue. And while I will always work to improve myself, I need to contest claims that are both false and offensive. I'm deeply grateful to my family and the people who have supported me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so in unjust conclusion, he said, just don't rush to that. Okay, so the difference here, I think the big part about this story here today and where we're advancing is we have an actual reaction statement from Huerta. We didn't ever get one, right? We never got one in the other situation. So I think that that's the advance of the story here tonight. He's refuting the accusation versus Jonathan Majors, who still has yet to say anything except through his attorney. So Huerta today, just mentioning that. Okay, let's do a couple of comments, then we're going to roll out of here. Yeah, I'm not gonna say who was in that final scene, but someone's in the comments, kind of. He is amazing. He's absolutely fantastic. Just get ready, guys. This film is going to do a big number this weekend. Much bigger than a lot of people are saying it's going to do. Sleepy Skunk, I agree. It Chapter 2. The one note I have from Muschietti, and I'm glad you brought this up, having watched Mama, I think it's a tighter film. Certainly he had a lot of guidance on that film from Del Toro. But when you look at it, and then you look at especially It Chapter 2, the one thing that Muschietti does, and even here in the Flash at that final battle scene and going back in time so many times, there's a little too much. He lays in too much of the film that you need to actually is always compact it, bring it back, bring it down, shrink it a little bit. The film's going to be stronger. And It Chapter 2 is the perfect example of that. In that film, every single member of the clan, whatever the hell they called, I honestly do not remember what the name of the clan in the It Chapter 2 or It Chapter 1 is, in Derry. But they each have multiple interactions with the clown. Moneypenny, she's not Moneypenny. Pennywise, right? Multiple interactions. And it's like, you don't need to have each character have two long interactions with Pennywise, not Moneypenny, Pennywise. You don't need that. So remember, it's always about just give the audience enough and then reel it back a little bit. And I think even The Flash needs to do that. I noticed that the first time, saw it again the second time, but it still is very good. They're different films. I mean, Across the Spider-Verse is obviously animated. We know that. They're both superhero movies. I understand. That's why you're going to ask me to compare them. I would recommend both of them for very different reasons. Spider-Verse excels at the visual art of it. I think that The Flash has very strong visuals as well. The effects are solid here, guys. I don't want to have a discussion about these effects look like crap. They don't. There's times where there's some computer-generated faces that look a little bit, but it's not like, you'd have to be a super hardcore hater to say this is really bad. Skarsgård's great. He's got more talent. Bill has more talent than his older brother. I mean, no question about it. Martin, and then we're going to get out of here. A couple more comments. Grace Randolph said The Flash and Spider-Verse are the exact same movie. No, that's wrong. They're similar. They're similar, okay? They're not exactly the same. They have similar threads going back in time to save a parent. Okay, yes. But again, what are you going to do with a multiverse that is going to be, I want to change the past, other than someone dying? So, what would you, if you're going to instill the greatest emotional stakes into the film, you are going to make it apparent. Look at Disney in every movie. What happens in every animated film from Disney going all the way back to Bambi? Mom dies. Finding Nemo, mom dies. So if we had a Finding Nemo multiverse movie, what do you think the writers would write? They would write Nemo goes back to save mom from the Barracuda. Give me a like because no one else can do this. That was money. So Grace Randolph, are you now going to go back through every movie in time and say this is like this movie? Every movie is essentially a version of another movie we've seen before or several movies cobbled together. I mean, it's so rare. It's so rare that you see something original. Okay? Maybe Tar. You guys knew I couldn't get through a stream without praising Tar. I can't. I saw the movie Third Act's Bloated. I agree. No, I agree that it's bloated, but the film is still very good. It's very well made. You're not going to come to me and tell me, by the way, welcome to the channel, SSSRRR. You're not going to come into the channel and tell me this is a poorly made film. This is a poorly assembled film. I completely and absolutely refute that. There's not even a debate. Now, you can say that it's bloated. You can say there's some issues, and I understand that, but it's not a film that is poorly directed or poorly assembled. Okay. And that's important. That's a very big part of a film, man. You have to buy into the universe being presented, and Muschietti does that with The Flash, and you can see why Warner Brothers is like, we want to work with you again. Of course you do. He's good. He's great. We'll talk about this on Thursday. Thank you for the super chat, by the way, because a lot of you coming in here talking about Elemental. I'm going to see Elemental on Thursday, which makes it perfect because that'll be leading right into The Flash, leading into the weekend. Elemental, from what this film's in big trouble. Okay, yeah, pray for Pixar. It's in really big trouble because the buzz is not there. And I want to state this tonight that if anyone says that Disney did not promote this film, you have my permission to punch them as hard as you can in their face. Literally just drill them because they don't get out of their house. You don't even know how many Elemental buses, bus stops, billboards, YouTube ads I've been subjected to in the last several days, in several weeks. LA's littered with Elemental stuff. So that's always the biggest crutch for people when a film doesn't do well. Like this film is not going to, we know it's in trouble. Okay. Elemental's in big trouble. When it doesn't do well, they didn't market it. Nobody knew about it. Those people need to literally be eliminated from Twitter. Like you lose your account as soon as you tweet, but the studio didn't promote it. Because there's only a few examples of that. And usually they involve like Sony. Disney promotes the hell out of their films. Don't come in here and tell me they don't. If anyone does, please send them to me so I will absolutely destroy them on Twitter. I will literally retweet and say you are one of the dumbest human beings on the planet because I can't deal with that shit anymore. I can't deal with it anymore. Martin, can I just say that you're the most genuine, entertaining critic to watch? And that's what. Thank you. I appreciate that, Martin. I mean, it's really, what is it all about here? Anyone can disagree with what I have to say, but you know that what's coming through here, through the mic, through to you, is authenticity. There's no bullshit like our good friend Zach, what's his name? The fake ass guy who just called Past Lives like a masterpiece. Because you know why? Because people like Zach want to be saying what they're supposed to say when the reality is Past Lives is pretty much void of emotion. And you're going to tell me it's a masterpiece? This is what we said. You got to really watch who you listen to. And listen, you can disagree with me. I have no problem with that. As we saw here tonight, the bloated third act didn't like the film. I don't have a problem with that. But the one thing you cannot say when you come in here to MMT is this guy is not super authentic about what he's saying. I'm never going to say something I don't believe in. I can't do it, man. Yeah, I'm a total shill. Beau's Afraid is directed and assembled well because it's 3 hours long. Because the length of the film destroys the film. And also it's inaccessible at all. It's not just about the fact that it's still the film. Don't tell me The Flash. I love having this. I didn't want to go long tonight. I'm going to go a little longer. you cannot compare The Flash to Beau is Afraid. You can't even put them in the same SSS. You can't do that. That instantly, I don't know if I ever want to pull up another comment, because you understand that Beau is Afraid is a movie for nobody. Do you get that? Like, how do you not, when you watch Beau is Afraid, understand that the percentage of people who will be able to access that film is like 0.001? And then when you watch The Flash, you can dislike it, SSS. You can say it's not good. You didn't like it. But are you going to come here and tell me that you can't access that film, that the average person isn't going to be able to plug into The Flash and get a lot out of it? That's what you got to understand. It's called viewing the film through the lens of accessibility, and Beau is Afraid fails that in probably the greatest manner in the history of film. It's horrifically awful. It is the worst film I have sat through in a movie theater. I didn't want to do this tonight. Now you piss me off. Don't ever come in here and ask me about The Flash and Beau is Afraid ever again. Don't ever do that. It's fucking horrible. Okay. Welcome to the channel, SSS. Okay, couple more. Darren, could Disney send Pixar's next movie? Is it Elio straight to Disney Plus if Elemental bombs? If Elemental bombs, they almost need to double down on theatrical. Here's why Elemental's going to bomb. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know. I'm hearing it's not fantastic. That's the general buzz from the people that I trust. They're saying it's fine at best. No one is raving about the film. That's a problem. The biggest issue is they have now trained audiences to sit at home, and you're going to get it on Disney Plus. And because of that, you have instantly told audiences they can just wait. And that means the number's going to be lower on the box office, because audiences now, if they don't feel like they have to run out to see a film, they are not going to. The Flash doesn't have that issue at all. The Flash has the opposite. It has people want to come out and see this before it gets spoiled, like we almost did tonight, but we didn't, because there's a lot of stuff in play here that people want to go out and discuss. Who comes back? Who are the other Batman that are here? Who's the other Superman that's here? Superman. That is all there, and it's really, the curiosity factor is huge here. I remember Zach giving Wonder Woman 2 a positive rating when it first came out, which tells me a lot. Did he really? It's Zach Pope we're talking about. That, I mean, the thing here's the reality, and I don't know. Here's my problem. When I watch someone, and I've watched very briefly, Zach, when I watch someone who comes off as fake, I cannot go even a second further than literally like the first thing. Hey, everybody, we're here. We're going to review The Flash tonight. You guys excited? Look, Ezra Miller's back. And look over here. We also have Michael Keaton. It's really cool. It's amazing. And you should see it. We've got this multiverse. And there's all. You're not real. Who are you? What are you doing? Are you a human being? Are you AI? What are you? And I think there's a real problem in this world with people that are afraid to be who they are. And I'll give you this, SSS. You come in, you're opinionated. Good. I'd rather have that than someone who's just like, oh, we love everything you say is perfect, because God knows it's not. But the point is I know I'm right about Beau is Afraid. I am 1,000,000% correct on Beau is Afraid. And I think I saw your other comment. The first 30 minutes, it is tolerable. But beyond that, the film is pure torture. And I can't even discuss that film again. I can't believe I've probably talked about that film more than any other film on this channel. It's like, I can't. It's so terrible. Such a terrible film. And listen to this. I love Joaquin Phoenix. And he's very good in this film. But the film is unwatchable. I don't care what performance. If you issue the best performance in one of the worst films ever made, and yes, I would argue it is, then it doesn't matter. It's negated, unfortunately. You at least need to appear in a film that is at least watchable. Great example of that. Okay, you talk about a mediocre film with a great performance. Have you guys watched Harriet? Cynthia Erivo is so much better than that film. That is a by-the-numbers biopic, and what a shame that that's the film that they made for Harriet. I mean, that is absolutely criminal because poor Cynthia Erivo puts this performance out there that's like one of the best of that year. And because the movie is at, and this is being generous, mid, then it goes nowhere. So if you think that Joaquin Phoenix is going to be in any kind of awards discussion outside of these circle jerk cinephile groups like New York Film Critics Circle, LA Film Critics, because they're so learned and they speak for an audience of themselves, the circle jerk critics, there they are. Everyone enjoy yourselves. Then that's it. It's not a movie that is going to go anywhere with any kind of normal viewer. I mean, zero. And listen, here's the thing. We're going to do a 30-minute stream. You have 5 minutes. We're out. I'm sorry that you guys want to do longer. I can't. I'm not going to do a long one tonight. It's late already. I'm tired, man. I'm freaking tired. But listen, back to The Flash, because we're going to button this thing up and we'll talk about it more on Thursday. By the way, tonight's kid is Swindon Town. Why did I pick this out? Red, Flash, also League Two. Who's going to League Two this year? Wrexham. Wrexham gets to play Swindon Town. There we go. I'm pulling out my League Two jerseys at this point. Here is what is the takeaway from The Flash. I promise you this, that the average moviegoer who buys a ticket, and that's 75% of the population who goes to movies, they're not cinephiles, they're regular folk, right? They grow up in Dayton, Ohio, right? In Columbus, Ohio, my hometown. And they just want to be entertained. Okay. They will really like the film, and that's going to drive business. But the number one reason this film is going to outperform is because of the curiosity factor of Ezra Miller, Michael Keaton, and who the other Batman and other Superman and whoever else in the multiverse shows up. That is going to drive business this weekend, and not everyone sits around on Reddit or on Twitter and does the spoiler thing. So they'll go see the movie. Less than 5 minutes and we're out. 5 minutes and Timothée Chalamet's back. For this film, no, we didn't need you in this. Timothy, do me a favor. Put a little bit of weight on. A little bit of weight on. My score for The Flash, I never really revealed that. My score for The Flash would be a 90%. That's a 9 out of 10. For me, it's a very well-made film. It looks good. Ezra Miller's great performance. It's accessible, not like Joaquin Phoenix and Beau is Afraid. So because of all that, it brings the emotion at the end, especially in the grocery store. My God, that is such a strong scene. And that speaks to Ezra Miller and Muschietti's filmmaking in that combination. It really works. And the score, everything's assembled perfectly there. Because of that, it's a 9 out of 10. Now, it's not a 91, 92, 93, and that's when we get to like a 94, like we did for not Moon Age Kingdom, for God's sake, Asteroid City. Then you're talking about just that much better for me. I liked The Flash. The problem is, for me, I've seen the movie so many times. We've seen this superhero thing so many times that I need the break, although it's still very good, and thank God it is, because if it weren't good, then we would be in a situation where it'd be really painful to sit through. But that's why the Marvels is. I need a break. This is it, right? Do we have another superhero movie coming up anytime soon? We don't, right? We have a legitimate break until we get to the Marvels. I need 4 or 5 months without a superhero in my life. Okay, we'll talk about it again Thursday, obviously Sunday, but I just need a break. I need a break from superheroes. Jeff Ewing in the house. There is a world outside Twitter. Why didn't you come join me tonight, Jeff? You should have showed up. I just walked in and grabbed a seat and watched it again. You could have come. Good Lord. So disappointing. Jeff's awesome, by the way. Follow him on Twitter. I'm going to maybe I'll bring Jeff in on Thursday. We can talk about The Flash. Jeff's really smart. Really good writer. Really good. Jeff, my advice to you here tonight, I've told you this in person. I'm telling you now tonight to the audience. Write the script. Do it. You're going to make something awesome. Do it. I'm going to cut this video out and post it on Twitter tomorrow. Jeff Ewing, write the script. Make it happen. That's it. That's my advice for Jeff. All right, we're going to roll out of here tonight. We'll be back on... actually, you know what? Oh, my bad, guys. We're back on Wednesday night. Gonna see Indy 5. As of right now, the plan is to see Indy 5 on Wednesday. And we will do a stream immediately after, probably more like 9 that night, because I think it starts earlier. So be here Thursday night, Wednesday, make that, because I can't wait for Indy 5. I have heard the reactions are all over the place on this film. I want to see what this film has to offer and does it need to exist, because based on the trailers, I don't see much of a reason. Hopefully I have a different mindset. I've changed. I want to like the film. I'll see it on Wednesday. We'll talk about it Wednesday. Until then, live from LA, you've watched Midnight Movie Talk tonight on the special edition Monday. The Flash fan screenings were back on Wednesday for Indy 5. Good night. Live from LA. Erick Weber,